After having watched the Clerks trilogy recently, I figured it was about high time to go back to the beginning and watch the rest of this universe of films in chronological order. That way I'll be able to catch a little bit more references to the characters and the events that have ended up becoming iconic to those who love Kevin Smith's imaginative world. First up is Mallrats. Instead of two guys in a convenience store with Jay and Silent Bob hanging around, it's two guys in a mall with Jay and Silent Bob still hanging around. But don't despair, guys, for there are plenty of differences because this is no rehash of Clerks. With Mallrats, we're thrown into a world where we are introduced to Kevin Smith's idea of what a romantic comedy should be. Meet our duo, Brody, played by Jason Lee, and T.S. Quint, played by Jeremy London. T.S. is a hopeless romantic, while Brody is, well, just plain hopeless. Recently, their girlfriends broke up with them, and to blow off some steam, they both hang out at the mall, essentially becoming Mallrats. However, when they're there, they soon realize that both of their exes are also at the mall, and as is Jay and Silent Bob, who they just so happen to know. They start to create a plan to win their ladies back, but that might be a little bit harder than they think. Understandably, the shift from watching the three very specifically written and most contained comedies out there to Mallrats was a tad bit jaunting, to say the least. There are both moments that I enjoyed about this film as well as moments I didn't really care for. It doesn't beat anything that came out of a Clerks film, but there's certainly a number of incentives present to watch the movie. First of all, I'm talking about the positives. Jay and Silent Bob. So I'm starting to realize a little bit that Randall was right with something that he mentioned in Clerks 3 when comparing all of these characters in the Clerks universe to that of Star Wars characters. None of the other comparisons really made all that much sense, but he did compare Jay and Silent Bob to C-3PO and R2-D2, saying they've been here since the first movie, which was the last time that they were cool, but they've been with the franchise so long that they keep on giving them cameos and put them on the lunchboxes. And yeah, that's about right. Even though I would also argue that they have always been cool, but maybe that is just me. While more silent comedic relief characters in the Clerks series, Jay and Silent Bob were much closer to how they acted in their own movies this time around, providing integral moments of the film and pushing the plot forward. Despite a few character decisions that I didn't fully agree with, they did a pretty decent job in the movie. The characters of Brody and T.S., not unlike our favorite Clerks in a particular film, Brody and T.S. shoot the breeze and have a lot of fast-spoken, witty, and immature dialogue shared, but where it differs from Dante and Randall was the rest of their personalities. T.S. is a young, hopeless romantic which, depending on the audience watching, is extremely relatable to a lot of different people. Meanwhile, Brody is just hopeless as he's essentially the Stifler of this film, a lazy, sex-crazed loser that lives in his mom's basement but talks with all the confidence in the world. These two oppositions in personalities shine throughout the movie, and it allows Jay and Silent Bob to sort of be equals as well in cranking out the events of the film. That was kind of cool. But now let's talk a little bit about negatives. First up, editing. I hate to say it, I really hate to say it, because Kevin Smith always wore so many hats in all of these films, from writing them to directing them, producing them, acting in them, and he also edits them. All of them, except for Mallrats. This is the only film in the entire Askewniverse that Kevin Smith didn't edit. Whoever did, Paul Dixon, did a pretty awful job. There's obvious cuts in the middle of the movie that were such an easy fix, and it's right in the middle of conversation too. All you gotta do is have the camera cut away somewhere and then come back, and you wouldn't be able to tell that it was two different cuts of the same conversation. And there's definitely at least 2 edits exactly like that, and it's honestly amateur hour. That's the kind of rookie mistake a high school news editor makes. So that was the elephant in the room here. And then we're talking about a little bit of Looney Tunes stuff going on here. Now, while I was watching the Clerks series, I noticed that each one got a little bit goofier than the last, but was still mostly grounded in reality, and I liked that blend of tone. I thought it worked really, really well. But they go pretty much full Looney Tunes here, at least Jay and Silent Bob do, and I'm not fully sure how I feel about that. It's as if Kevin Smith was dipping his toes a little bit into what would and wouldn't work in his films and for his characters. Next up is pacing. This is a strange example of a film that has a plot, but it's about as sure of itself as if it's a teenager trying to decide who to ask to prom. They first want to blow off some steam, and then they want to ruin a game show stage, and then they want to ask a psychic on what to do next, and then they want to win back the ladies. It's almost like watching a script get written, erased, and changed, and changed again. This made the film feel longer than it really was, and it had me scratching my head a little bit on what they plan to do by the end. Now clearly, there is a lot of important aspects to consider here, but I'm probably more interested in how they reference the events of this movie in further installments of the Askewniverse. But for now, I'll take it with a grain of salt and revisit it upon a series ranking. But at the end of the day, I will be scoring this a C+, which just basically means it's pretty decent, but it's not anywhere near my favorite in the universe. But what about you guys though? Have you seen Mallrats? Are you a fan of Mallrats? Are you a fan of the Askewniverse? Let me know, and as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out!
Mallrats, oh Mallrats, lost in neon glow, where Jay and Silent Bob their antics flow. Ben Affleck's swagger, Joey Lawrence grace, in this retail maze love finds its place.